Hello and welcome to Fantasy Premier League, the D Unit's journey. I am FPL D Unit, and today we are here for buy, keep, trade, sell, whatever you want to call it, for Game Week 12. I am on wildcard, so for me, I have been selling a boatload of players, so I'll be able to comment on some of these ones today. I'm hopefully going to provide you with some advice if you're teeing up, whether you're going to buy a player, whether you're going to sell a player, the fixture runs, all these things are taken into account. So without further ado, we are going to get into this, and just for shadowing what is going to come later this week. Tomorrow or Wednesday, I will be releasing a wildcard draft ultimate special with 4 or 5 different wildcard draft teams. So please let me know in the comments. I am going to be going one of these ones or a combination of them. So I really want to have people's input. So again, if you can get involved in the comments, please do. If you're new around here, please press the subscribe button and please like the video as well. And without further ado, let's get into this week's Keep, Buy, Trade and Sell. Alrighty, so FPL price changes. There have been a lot of transfer changes, particularly players dropping in price. Now, most of the time I don't actually cover the price drops and the price rises. However, I am all over them. Danny Welbeck rose overnight. He's up to 6 mil. A lot of these falls, you're going to be like, who the hell are these players? Casey McAteer from Leicester, like, who's that? They've dropped 0.3 million now for the year. Aina's now gone up to 4.8 million. Again, I'm not sure why people are buying him. We'll get into that in a little bit later on. Canade's gone up to 5.4. I actually missed that one because he is a player that I am interested in on my wild card. So I stuffed up there because my stats said he wasn't going to rise on that day, and I missed out. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has dropped to 5.7. Unlucky if you still own him. Jacob Bryan's dropped. Isaac, who I've got currently in my team, is up to 8.5. I really like him as an option. Bernardo Silva's dropped to 6.4. Ariola's dropped to 4.3. Masquera has dropped to 3.9 from Wolves. If he gets back in the team, there could be a good option there for a budget enabler. Iwobi's risen in price. Bruno Fernandes has risen in price, likely to do so again. Lewis Hall's risen in price. So is Cunha. They're all on my team at the moment. Chaplin, Konsa, Almiron, and Gonzalez have all gone down. Kelleher, Van Dijk, and Mazraoui have all gone up. They're all currently in my team as well, except Mazraoui. And then Buendia, Matoma, Wharton, Traore, Romero, Pond, they've all dropped. Semenyo, Wissa, Salah, Dallo, and Johnson, they've all risen. I'm surprised Brennan Johnson rose after that Spurs disaster in Game Week 11. And then look at all these fallers. Gabriel, 6.1 now. He is in one of the drafts I'm going to be putting together tomorrow for everyone to look at. Cole Palmer dropped, but he's likely to rise in price before Game Week 12 because Chelsea start their amazing run. Dwight McNeil, my boy, he was useless. I'm not surprised he dropped. Diego Jota's now down to 7.2 million, which is interesting. Ruben Diaz, 5.4. Phil Foden's dropped back down to 9.2. Erling Haaland has dropped to 15.2 and is highly likely to drop to 15.1. So you really want to be across that. And Thomas Souček has dropped to 4.9. Not a bad price that, if you ask me. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the players that have been most bought in this game week. So, top of the list, with no surprise, is the Egyptian king, Mohamed Salah. He's now up to 50% ownership. 1 in 2 people now own the Egyptian king. And if you want my opinion, he's blanked twice all season. He is definitely worth the money over Haaland at this particular point in time. And with Southampton away next, there is 100% a very good reason why lots and lots of people are bringing him in, over 300,000 teams. And for me, it's a definite recommend buy. He's in great form. He's been rested during the international break. There's no reason to think that he's not going to continue on his goal-scoring powers and Monster King, the bonus point system. So you've got to get him. I think he's definitely a definite buy. Bruno Fernandes, again, I said this the week before. He's definitely a buy. He's got Ipswich and Everton at home in the next 2 game weeks. It does get a little bit trickier there in 14 and 16, but I'm expecting Man United to continue their upturn in form under Ruben Amorim as he comes in and enjoy the new manager bounce. And you guess who's going to be at the heart of that? Bruno Fernandes. He's definitely a viable option over Brian and Buemo moving forward. Now, Wissa is here. He's yellow flagged. He's definitely, I'd recommend buying him for a short-term play for the next 2 weeks, but then their run of fixtures gets a hell of a lot harder for Brentford, and I don't know how many goals he's going to score against all those teams from Game Week 14 through to about Game Week 20 when he plays Southampton. And even post that, 21 and 22 are not nice for Brentford either. It's just a hard recommend to buy for the long term. He's a buy for the short term, but definitely not a buy for the long term. I'm actually surprised he's the 3rd most bought-in player. Just unusual. Isaac, He scored 3 goals in his last 3 games. He looks in a fantastic prospect. And with West Ham at home and Crystal Palace away in the next 2, he is hard not to recommend. He's currently sitting in my wildcard draft. when I try and figure out where I'm going to go. Cunha, again, the Wolves run is just too good to ignore. The dude is rising in price. You need to jump on before you've been left behind and he's over 7 mil, because he's definitely going to get to 7 million. With the run of fixtures he's got and the form that he's in, unless he gets injured, he's going to just keep on delivering points for your team. Smith Rowe, I don't mind as an option. However, I wouldn't recommend buying him. If you've got him, I'd hold him as your enabler, and that's only if he's your enabler. Otherwise, I'd get rid. He's probably at his maximum price he's going to get to for the foreseeable future. They've got hard fixtures against Arsenal and Liverpool in the next 5, along with Spurs and Chelsea in the next 7. So there is some nice fixtures punctuated in between there. I just think that the best place he can be is position 5, and I don't think he's someone you should be buying. Virgil van Dijk, I appreciate why people are buying him. They still want the Liverpool defence. The Liverpool defence has been the best defence in the league, and Trent Alexander-Arnold just hasn't been delivering, and Virgil van Dijk is playing every game. He's 6.3. He's 0.7 million less. And if you caught him before he rose in price, you're going for 0.8 less like I did. I literally got Trent out for Virgil van Dijk before I'd figure out whether I want to keep him or not. Southampton away this week. It's a definite clean sheet. Man City aren't playing that well. And Newcastle away, I just think the way Liverpool are playing, I'm not too concerned about they're not going to concede more than 2 goals in a game. I just can't see it happening. So he's guaranteed to get you 2 points a game. He might score, and if he gets a clean sheet and some bonus points, well, you're laughing. So for 6.3, I think he's definitely the pick of the Liverpool defenders. João Pedro, 100%. He's definitely going to be in my team. He's going to be in all my iterations of my team. 5.4 million, you can't overlook that. The Brighton run's amazing, and even if he's just the 8th attacker that you're having to put on occasionally to rotate with someone else, he's great value, and he's going to rise in price. 100%. Like the run of fixtures for Brighton is insane. Like, they have such a good run from now until game week 37. Like, historically, other than game weeks 19, 20, 2 back-to-back hard weeks, from there on in, Brighton players are fantastic. If they're fit, they're going to be good. They're going to be getting you points. The way Brighton play, they are going to get you points. And if he's going to be starting, which I believe he will be, he's going to be making you points. Now, Mazraoui, is he a buy? I don't think so. I need to see who's starting between Mazraoui and Dalot. You can't recommend buying either of them until you see who's going to be starting at right wing back, or if they're going to be playing in the right part of the defence. Until we see how Ruben Amorim's team lines up, those 2 players are not buys. They are a wait and see. If you've got them, you probably hold them, but you're definitely not buying into that until you see who's actually starting, because it's going to be a quick sell if they're not in the team. Cole Palmer, you should be buying him. The Chelsea run from here on in is unbelievably good. 53.5% ownership. That's going to soar probably close to 60% over the next run of 10 games. So, buy. Don't miss out on him. You've got to have him in your team, I think, at this point. Aina, I talked about the Nottingham Forest players. They aren't keeping clean sheets in the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks. They might keep one against Ipswich at home, but other than that, they are going to concede against those good teams. You are not buying him for his attacking returns. You're buying him because Nottingham Forest have been good defensively. That is not going to continue to be the case for the time being. I can't recommend buying any Nottingham Forest player. I've had Chris, the Woody Woodpecker, in my team since game week 1. He is going on wildcard. He's 100% gone. He is a sell for me. There's no way he's going to match his output from the first 11 game weeks, or 10 really, because he did nothing in game week 11, across the next 7 fixtures. I mean, it's just not possible. He's not that good. Like, he's good, but he's not that good, if you get what I'm saying. So, look, Chris Woody Woodpecker, see you later. He's a sell for me. Canade, I really like him as a Liverpool player. It's hard to recommend Liverpool players, but he is good. He's playing 90 minutes. His spot seems to be pretty nailed on. The only concern I've got with him is potentially he's a little bit injury prone, and they do have 2 tougher fixtures over the next 3 weeks. But, Liverpool defence have been that good. They'll probably keep a clean sheet in one of them. Maybe they might even keep a clean sheet in both. He's really good, and I do like him as a double up in the Liverpool defence. Let's put it that way. Danny Welbeck, I don't think he's a buy anymore at 6 mil. I think there's better 6 million options. Even though Brighton have an amazing run of fixtures, he is going to need to be rested at some point because he is obviously over 30. And, how long can he keep the run going? I'm not sure. It's a bit like Chris Wood. Sometimes these runs naturally come to an end. I think Danny Welbeck's might be coming to an end as João Pedro comes back into the team. Just something to keep in mind. Brian Mbeumo, I think he's a hold, but if you're weighing up whether to have Bruno Fernandes or Brian Mbeumo is a sell for Bruno Fernandes. That's how I rate it. It's controversial, but that's how I rate it. The Brentford run does get a lot harder. As I said, the next 2 weeks are amazing. 12 and 13, amazing. You could then sell him for a Jared Bowen in game week 14. FYI, they're exactly the same price. If you bought him at 7.2, you should be able to just do a straight swap there. I just don't like the Brentford run from here on in. Like it gets pretty hard. I know they've been scoring a lot of goals, and it might be not bad from an attacking perspective, but I just don't think they're going to match the numbers. A bit like Nottingham Forest. They're not going to keep matching these numbers against the top six, historically the top six teams. It's not a buy for me. And if anything, it's probably a hold and then potentially a sell. Nicholas Jackson, I really love the run. Ignore the fact he's on 4 yellow cards. Yes, he's going to miss a game between now and game week 19. You just got to hope it's not against Ipswich, Everton, Southampton. Those are the 3 games we want him fit for. Hopefully he misses the Spurs game or the Aston Villa game. That is the ideal scenario there. Gets the 1 week off there and then he dominates. I really like him. He is under consideration to coming into my wildcard team. 8 Nori, Wolves defender. He's definitely going to be in my team. He's already got maybe a boatload of money. The Wolves run is for real. Probably from game week 19 onwards, though, you probably don't want him. You probably want to sell him around that particular point. But for the next 7 weeks, he is really good. And I like him from an attacking perspective and the fact that I think Wolves will keep more clean sheets. Back row Saka, I'm unsure on him. I don't know if he's worth the money, to be honest. 10.1 mil. Arsenal aren't creating and scoring a boatload of goals. He is normally involved. And, his stats this season have been pretty good. He's only blanked he's actually blanked quite a few times. He's blanked 6 out of 12 weeks, 6 out of 11 weeks. So that's not overly fabulous. So I don't know if he's worth 10.1 million. He's only had the 1 monster score, and that was against Southampton and obviously Wolves at the very first game of the season. I'm just not sure. I think Martin Odegaard is the better pick there, and that's who I would be recommending you buy it instead. Guardiola, Man City aren't keeping clean sheets. They are not going to keep clean sheets the next 3 or 4, 5 weeks, maybe even 6 weeks. Can't recommend him. He's not going to keep scoring goals at ridiculous rates. He is a defender after all. Garnacho, again, I think he's a wait and see. I'm not sure if you want to be jumping on the bandwagon yet. You want to see if he fits in the Ruben Amorim team and whereabouts he's going to fit in the team. Is he going to be a wing-back? Is he going to be one of the 2 inside forwards that play in behind the striker? We don't know. We don't even know if he's going to be starting. I actually think it's going to be Ahmad and Bruno and then potentially Højlund or Rashford up top. That's my personal read. I don't see him as a wing-back. I don't think he's got the defensive capabilities to be a wing-back. I could be wrong. Maybe Amorim just makes me eat my words. Robinson, I think he's a hold. Hall, I quite like. The Newcastle run is amazing coming up, and he is currently in my team and likely to stay there on wildcard. I got him at 4.3, and I just think he's going to be good value going forward. He's involved with the attack. And look, Gabriel, I'm surprised that so many people have been selling him. The Arsenal run is here, and I really like him as the defender. Now, the fact that he's gone down to 6.1 has made it easier because originally it was going to be Saliba coming in for 6 million. But now that Gabriel's dropped to 6.1, I think I'm going to bring him in potentially on wildcard in order to get into that Arsenal defense and double up on it. So look, he's definitely there. Luis Diaz, I don't know why he's in the buy column. What is wrong with people? Sell. I just don't rate him. He will be back to 7.5 before you know it. Onana, I really like that. He's a great differential goalkeeper. Man United are going to be good defensively. He's the top-rated goalkeeper in the game. Like, he scored the most points this season for a reason. He's definitely a buy for me. Semenyo's a buy. Fabianski's a definite buy. He's actually in my team from wildcard. Rogers is a sell for me. I think he looks jaded. I think Aston Villa look jaded, to be honest with you. Evanilson, he looks really good. The stats behind him in particular this season have been super good since he settled into the team after like game week 4. And since then, he's pretty much been pretty consistent and delivering most game weeks more often than not, and really good at 5.9 mil. Now, on to the people that have been sold this week. Alexander-Arnold is the top of the list with 272,000 teams getting rid. And I agree. I think you can sell him. I've sold him. He's definitely not going to be coming back in. Dwight McNeil, 100% sell. What a flog. Sorry, McNeil, but you were in my team as a differential and you only delivered in 1 game week out of 5. Like, that's just not good enough as a differential, especially when I'm peddling you on these videos. The only good thing is you may be 0.1 million over the time you're in my team. So thank you for that. Erling Haaland, I'm considering bringing him back on wildcard, and I'm not sure why so many people are selling him. Look, if we were talking about any other striker, we would be saying that Erling Haaland's form is fine. He's scored twice in the last 3 game weeks. Twice in the last 3 game weeks. Most other strikers would be pretty happy with that output. The reason why we are unhappy is because he costs a mini fortune. He continues to drop in ownership down to 63.7%. He is going to drop to 15.1 before the end of game week 12. I could actually make money. I've made 0.2 million off him already because I bought him at 15 at the start of the season, sold him when he was at his peak at 15.4. I'm actively considering bringing him back in a wildcard draft at 15.1. The man could make me 0.3 million here. I just think it's hard to count against it. Like, they've got Spurs at home. Like, City are definitely going to be scoring goals against Spurs, and Haaland's probably going to be involved. Liverpool away, I don't like. But then from then on, through to like game week 23, it's a pretty juicy run again for Manchester City. And Haaland's going to be scoring goals there. You can put your bottom dollar on it right here, right now. I don't know if I'd be running to sell him at this point. If you've endured up until this point, I think you'd be dumb to sell against Spurs at home. And then you just sort of suffer the Liverpool game and hope for the best. Dominic Solanke, 100% sell. That flog is never coming into my team again. I got him in on a one-week punt, got 2 points against Ipswich. He is done. Spurs are done to me. Absolute done. Put him in the bin. If he ever crawls out of the bin, put him back in the bin. Luis Diaz, as I said, definite sell. Vardy, he's under a yellow flag, and I think the Leicester run is definitely, it's not bad the next 4 weeks, but it gets hard then. It's just so many better options than Vardy at that particular price point. Brennan Johnson, yep, again, all Spurs assets should be on the sell category. They are a crap football team. Sorry, Tottenham supporters, but they are just been disappointing, and it's hard to recommend any of them after that debacle that was the Ipswich home game. Ollie Watkins, I'm not surprised he's a sell. I had him in my team. I just, he scored for England in the international break. I just think that, the Aston Villa run's not bad. They just look so tired. Like game week 15, it could be nice to have him in for the Southampton at home game. But I don't know. There's something wrong with Villa. They just look tired, and I think Champions League football's catching up with them. And, he might even get rested for that Southampton game. We don't know. Saka's obviously being sold there. People wondering whether he's worth the value. Chris Wood, like me, he is getting sold. He's on this list here. And as I said, I just don't think he's going to be delivering the same amount of results. Pedro Porro, when was the last time he kept a clean sheet, you ask? That was a very, very long time ago. He kept one in game week 6 against Man United when no one kept the clean sheet. It was an absolute shock. He's not going to be keeping the clean sheet this week. You can guarantee that. Lewis, I'm not surprised people are selling him. This is the biggest myth of the season, how this bloke has risen 0.4 million in price. Like, why? Why has he risen 0.4 million in price when he's delivered 3 out of 11 game weeks? Someone tell me. I'm not sure. I don't know why people have him. There's better budget enablers in their teams. Burma, as I said, a lot of people considering ditching Burma for Bruno Fernandes. Ditto Son, ditto Foden. Guardiola, again, obviously that run for Man City does not look the best. I'm surprised so many people are selling Nicholas Jackson here. Maybe they're on wild card and they're scared of the 4 yellow cards. Don't be scared of him. There's no reason to be scared of him. Eze and Van der Ven, obviously a lot of these players are injured. Raya is also dropping in price. He's likely to drop to 5.5. He may well make it back into my team before the end of this game week. While I'm on wildcard, I am trying to make 0.1 million on him because I bought him for 5.6. I sold him for Kelleher, and I'm hoping he drops to 5.5, and then I'll bring him back and I'll make some money out of that. So yeah, look, that's all the buy, keep, trade, sell, whatever you want to call it. There are a lot of definite sells here from people on this list this game week. You've got to be clever. If you're on wildcard, you want to be ditching some of these assets that just don't look any good moving forward. Like Dominic Solanke is top of that list, and any Tottenham player that is on your team, probably look to ditch him, because if you can't beat Ipswich at home, who have conceded the most XG all season, then you might as well put your team in the bin and start again next season. You can tell I'm still annoyed with that Dominic 1 week slump. Dominic 1 week punt fail. All right, thanks for joining me. Make sure you check out the wildcard special over the coming week, because I tell you, I don't know what to do and I really need your help. So again, make sure you like the video before you leave, and please subscribe if you're new. That has been the D Unit out. See you tomorrow.